Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew, back already. Got me some more comic books from a spinner rack. Ghost Rider 2099 is pretty interesting because the 2029 universe started off with Spider-Man, and then there was Ravage 2029, and then there was Ghost Rider, and there was a quarterly book called 2099 Limited and Doom 2099, which I covered in a previous episode. What's interesting is you could say, I mean, the 90s were pretty horrible when it comes to ripping off, readers. You got all these people who buy these books with the holofoil and the hologram and the, 3D stuff, and it was useless because everybody bought it. And not only that, it just really wore at people's pockets and on retailers even more so. But for a brief period, it was a case of a rising tide lifting all boats, because you started getting these really cool imprints like 2099. Start off with the Spider-Man one by Peter David and Rick Leonardi. Then they did a Doom 2099, like Dr. Doom. I covered it in a previous episode. And then there was, later on, there was X-Men 2099. There was also Ravage 29. And I'm missing another one I can't recall. But, tell you what, it was Mark Buckingham doing the covers. And in this book, he is doing the inks over Chris Bachalo, who became a megastar. And he already started off great, Check the box, perp. Easy or hard? Guess. How about that design? Oh, and also, I neglected this because there were so many regular books coming out. And then there was, crossovers galore that made me try out indie books more. And one of the things, they also had Midnight Suns, which had Hellstorm, which was Damien Hellstrom, who in the 70s looked like a superhero, son from Satan, and then they made him cool. Warren Ellis, I think, wrote it. I can't remember who did the art. So you got this really quality stuff coming out. If you decide to go to another imprint that has nothing to do with crossovers, really cool. And it's written by Len Kaminsky, who he knows a lot of technical jargon. I mean, this is way before, stuff became commonplace. Yeah, Len Kaminsky. He also wrote an era of Iron Man that is probably my second favorite after the Bob Layton years. And I'll show you why later. Not today, but... So you got some talking head pages, necessary. But doesn't last too long. Oh yeah, I hate those pages. Just not really. I almost think like Mark Buckingham did these pencils because they're very different from the rest. I could be wrong. Anyway, back on the street. I love that detail. So he's like low on power and he's cornered, in an alleyway. However, they throw a net on him, and it is a riot web, and it charges him up. I like the chainsaw that came all of a sudden. And he can shift his various mechanical parts, and he decides to change back to himself, and it's almost like Dr. Doom's time machine. It goes up his body, and then he becomes a regular guy, and these robots chasing him in the sewer, just see this guy, just a down ramp rat sleeping it off. Really, really sharp stuff. I mean, I just love it. He's one of the artists that, you saw him right away, he was going to be a big deal. He did the very first X-Men Unlimited, which was the X-Men crashing a plane in the snow, and it was really great, really great, really great. So, this one pal of Ghost Rider's, Ghost Rider gets activated, all of a sudden trigger event encountered, designated Ghost Rider in range. Whoop. And it leads you to subscriptions. How about that? Oh, is that sweet? Sweet, sweet, sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweeties, goodbye. Hello, Canada Dry. Okay, I also picked up Doctor Strange. It lasted 6 to 70 issues, which was amazing, because in the past, it is actually his previous series lasted 70 issues, but that's because they didn't have that many, how can I put it? It was bi-monthly for a long time, and it was sort of I don't know. It's hard to describe. Steve Englehart was on it, and then there was a variety of good artists and writers, and it was kind of fizzling before Roger Stern and Marshall Rogers and Terry Austin took over. So here we're at 47, but this book lasted a couple years later, and it's an Infinity War crossover. The first one was Infinity Gauntlet, then Infinity War, and then Infinity something else, the third one, Crusade, which was really lame. Jeff Isherwood is doing the art, and I was intrigued. But and the art notwithstanding, and Roy Thomas has written many a good book over the decades, but this ain't one of them. R.J.M. Lafleur had been a consultant on this book on and off. I'll show you why. It's unreadable. It really is. And, the Infinity crossover doesn't help, but there's just so much going on that I just don't care about. And I'm a Marvel guy. I'll dig deep if I have to, but I just want a couple of pages into this. I flip through and I'm like, oy, oy, oy. Great art by Isherwood. And one of the best pages is right there. I like that. Nice stuff. Isherwood would kind of pick up on books later in their runs, like Namor the Submariner after Jay Lee left. And that's it. I dare you to read this. I dare you. So, I know I'm a dick. Let's go through the indies here. 2000, Endless Horizon Entertainment. Indie book came out with Stark Raven. It's written by this guy named Smith and Barrington, and it's drawn by McDaniel. I looked at that and I'm like, that's Scott McDaniel? He was, he was transitioning from Nightwing over to Batman, the main Batman title, because that really has that feel to it. And that's kind of odd tangents, almost like he's trying to disguise himself as part of a tree, but I'll forgive that. It's great. It should have just been colored a little lighter, I think. But anyway. But this is a rock solid book. I really enjoyed it. It only lasts 5 issues. Or 4 issues. It's a 4-issue miniseries. And it's a shame because Marvel was coming out of its bankruptcy and people were starting to pick up more Marvel again because the quality had jumped up. They shook off the 90s like a bad cold when it came to the excess. Love that panel. Walter McDaniel's drawn a lot of books, but it's just, I don't know if he's known for any one book, but he's done like Deadpool, he's done Wolverine, he's done all kinds of stuff. How about the face on that? And it's a little too dark for me, but I'm not going to fault Chris Sotomayor for the coloring, because I've seen when I was a cross-gen that the coloring on the screen is so much lighter than what prints out, and it's a real hardship on the colors to try to adjust it without making it look weak. So but nonetheless it's still clear. I can still make everything out, which is a lot of colors don't do that, and Chris is going by a lot of the light sources, which is great. I've had some colorists that have totally ignored light sources and made me crazy. So that's a great pose there. So he's just he's like meditating. Stark Raven. That doesn't remind me a lot of Scott McDaniel, but in a good way. Oh, there's Stark Raven 2. I didn't know until I looked on eBay that there was actually 2 issues, and there were action figures, which is pretty cool. That'll cleanse the palette out of that crappy Doctor Strange issue. Okay, Marvel Double Shot. They did 2 4-issue miniseries with creators that usually had nothing to do with Marvel Comics doing Marvel Comics. Or some top tier talent like Greg Rucka, Klaus Janson, and Iron Man in Armor is barely shown. It's sort of a personal story with Tony Stark. Who did the colors? Orsia Rosagor. I apologize if I said that, if I butchered that name. You know how many people screw up the name Geraci? I get Garcia, I get Guracy, I get Juracy, I get Jersey Mike's. So this guy reminds me of Rotor, like this little talking robot, which was on Mystery Science Theater. But yeah, it's fun. Love that. The coloring is great. I'm surprised I haven't seen her name more often. Anyway, he goes to see an old friend, and his old friend is he's been holed up for years by choice. He's just obsessed with what he's working on. He says, Richard Corey, is that a joke I should get? Problem with the sensation interface, but damned if I know what it is. So he's like lost in thought. Maybe it's algorithm, some variable that isn't properly assigned. Gabe, I brought the papers here for your signature. I want you to review them. The proprietary orientation gyro, is this what this is about? And he's just not paying attention at all to Stark. Stark is trying to work something out, but it's the guy just is. He's been holed up for years. He's totally his social cues are non-existent. He goes, "Are you feeling okay?" Fine. Just I've been alone a long time now. A long time. You could put the papers over there. And he's just hanging out for a bit. Yeah, I got a pen right here. Good. And you're not going to use this to make bombs and stuff like that, are you? No, mostly industrial robotics, some medical as well. Didn't your board of directors forward copies? Sure, yeah, but I've just been busy, like I said. She takes all my time. She? And he goes, I get lonely. I know the feeling. Here, I call here Ira. And that's what the result is. It's just, he's deranged at this point. Gabe, there's nothing there. And the pioneer, he ends his life. I hate to say that. And I don't encourage anybody to be that way. There's free therapy, there's good friends, get away from stuff. There's a 1-800 number for if you have those really dark thoughts that you think you might hurt yourself. So just wanted to throw that in here before I continue. Michael T. Gilbert, who's known for Mr. Monster, and he's done a lot of indie stuff, but his take on Doctor Strange is really, really, really fun. And it's very different from what you've seen, any version I've seen. Daredevil, the album. 100 times better than Daredevil, the movie. I'm sorry. I am not going to apologize. That was a shit movie. All this is so Michael T. Gilbert. I mean, he is so brilliant on this stuff. But here we go. The famous saying that we all love. Curse me for a novice. I love that. That's even better than the Rings of Ragador or the all those other names he has. Crimson Bands of Sidorak. But curse me for a novice. If you're going to be a writer who does at least one issue of Doctor Strange, you have to put that in there. That's like his tagline. And I love it. I totally love it. Oh, he gets bent into like one dimension or two dimension, but he does a Mr. Fantastic, ties him up. So really, really great stuff. Recommended. And back in 2000, certain inker. Whoa! Hey, look at me! I got for Sojourn. So how about that? 100 years ago. And here is whoa! Almost dropped my book. This will cleanse your palate of any of the books you weren't keen on. Savage Hulk. This came out a few years ago. See, here's the problem I have with. I don't go to a lot of comic shops. I go to one that's near me, and I look around. But there's so much product out there. And I'm just saying product because there's probably 5 Hulk miniseries. There's probably one that crosses over with something else. There are so many X-Men and Avengers titles, and a lot of them are just banged out. There's some great artists, but it's just the stories don't seem to matter, and not only that, a lot of them just aren't well constructed, because I think without continuity, you could bullshit your way through any stupid story you have in the back of your mind. But I mean, this stood out. I was so happy to see this. This was written and penciled by Alan Davis, inked by Mark Farmer, and colored by Matt Hollingsworth, fantastic colors. And I've noticed that Davis is a traditionalist. He does, if it has to do with, like he did last year's Avengers Out of Time miniseries, which had Kang the Conqueror. It was 5 issues long, and it was wonderful. So, and he does like the Fantastic Four, like when they had these books called The End, it would show like their end days of different superheroes. He did one issue of The End for the last days of the Fantastic Four. So he's doing a little bit of Neil Adams action there, which later on John Byrne would crib, which is not a bad thing. I like that. I like that a lot. So this is supposed to take place right after their last published issue, original published issue, which was number 66, which had the Hulk, which was another kind of, they tried Neil Adams, they tried so many things, and they thought, we'll throw the Hulk in and see if it sells, and it was still on the chopping block. The next issue was a double-sized reprint that had the Juggernaut story from issue 12 and 13, but this continues as a way of explaining it, because it had a semi-happy ending, but after a brief battle, Jean Grey was able to help him transform back to human form to obtain a device that Banner had been working on to cure him of his gamma curse. The device was taken back to the X-Men's headquarters and resuscitated Xavier, but there was no such happy ending for Banner, as he continues to be hunted by those who would destroy the Hulk. Whew. I got that in one sentence, or one breath. So we're looking at the news, and there's the leader. Alan Davis just does so much magnificent fan service. I know that's a dirty word, but he just gives the people what they want. And what they want is high quality stories that don't really, how can I put it, that by people who think they're better than Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. And that's all I'm going to say on the subject. Man, this is beautiful, ain't it? Ain't it? Yipper. And you know what? This probably got passed over because there's so much on the stands. It's amazing. That's a very Neil Adams image. It probably got, ignored because of the miniseries, and I don't think they really promoted it much. They were busy with, Bendis's Avengers and all this other stuff. But, there's this tiny little corner of the Marvel Universe that, Alan Davis, love that face on the Beast. He's always sort of, at least when Neil Adams would draw him, or John Byrne, he always had this kind of Cro-Mag kind of look to his face. And, let's see. Ed. Let's try to get to the Hulk. Oh, hold on. It gets better. So, here comes the Abomination, baby. The coolest villain of the Hulks. Even cooler than the leader and all that. But just, what a great matchup. And designed by Gil Kane. He did a couple issues of Tales to Astonish. So this is a Kane design, which is beautiful. And anyway, that's all. Okay, this is, wow, 2014. Woo, this is 10 years old. But it holds up. That's the thing. There's no specific thing that dates it. And I think that's crucial if you're doing one of the major characters from the early founders from 1961 onward in the Silver Age. But that's it. So anyway, I'm going to be doing a show this Sunday at the Atlanta Comic Convention. Love that. I love that. And it's hard to read here, but it says over 1 million comics, toys, and collectibles. And they really have mostly comic books. $3,000 merchandise raffle, only $5 for the admission. It is at the Atlanta Marriott Century Center Hotel. And check it out if you're anywhere in the hemisphere of the show. Come on by. I'll shake hands. I'll do sketches. I'll sell prints, and we'll have us a good old time. All right, everybody. Have a good day.